sad. That means so many of you have so many questions and are so confused about the process here. That's why we've asked building department to come, specifically the permitting department. I understand we have plan reviewers in the back, we have permit people in the back. Catherine Starkey just walked in the door. She graciously accepted to come. Unfortunately, I got an email from FEMA that they will not be able to come tonight. Don't laugh. I have a commitment that they can come after November 14th. I have to give them a date. So I don't know if it had anything to do with the elections, or I have no idea. Or the week of the 14th and on, they can come. So I will make another date, and it will be FEMA only. So if you have any questions about building codes and permitting and what our county is doing to help us, these are the people who are here. So before we get going, I'd love everyone to stand and give a great Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. One quick announcement, actually two quick announcements. Pasco County Sheriff, I believe there's a few of them here tonight, will be holding a town hall here in our facility on the 13th of November. That's to address any code violation issues, any crime, anything like that. The sheriff will be here in full force on the 13th, and that meeting starts at 6 p.m. So there's flyers around, you can grab those. Also, I urge everyone who had a pool that had to be refilled to go onto the county site. There's a form called Request for Adjustment to Water Bill. You fill that out when you get your massive next water bill, and they will make an adjustment to your bill and not charge you, I believe, sewer charges for the water you'll use to refill your pool.
And that's online?
That form is online under Pasco County Utilities.
Thank you.
Okay, so the rules are, we let everybody know, 3-minute warning, wrap up your question or answer, and one by one, raise your hand, tell me you have questions, and somebody will be around with a microphone. I will introduce everybody. I don't know everybody.
Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Commissioner Starkey. I'm sorry, I'm sick. So I'm going to sit down here on the end, but I knew it was important for me to be here tonight. But if you don't mind, we just had a presentation by these guys yesterday.
Oh.
And, this is the first time our county has been impacted like this, for all of us, right? I mean, we've never gone into anything like this. So I think the presentation that they went through for us, and we had FEMA there, was really informative. And if you don't mind, I think it would answer a lot of questions, and then you can take questions after. It won't take long at all.
Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Presentation?
Yes.
Be my guest.
All right, so I'll let you go.
This is J.P. Murphy.
We'll leave it up. Thank you, Commissioner Starkey. So, for those in the back, I'm J.P. Murphy. I am the Assistant County Administrator for Development Services. What that means to you is I work closely with the Building Construction Services Department, your Planning Department, the MPO, and Code Enforcement. Tonight, we're going to be focused on substantial damage, substantial improvement, and permitting. How do you get back to restore your home to pre-storm conditions and get back to living life the way it used to be? As the commissioner stated, certainly this is unprecedented events. We've seen what is likely to be a 500-year storm event in terms of the rainfall. Here in Gulf Harbors, anywhere from 8 to 10 foot of storm surge. I was out driving around in the storm because the wind was not high enough for us to come off the road realistically. So we were able to see just how much water you had out here while that was happening. Of course, one of the things we did immediately following was initial damage assessment. One of the reasons we do that so fast is to turn on that FEMA individual assistance so that folks can get the individual assistance from FEMA in whatever form it takes. The longer assessment process is what we're going through now. And if I leave you here with 5 thoughts. The first one is we really do want to help you rebuild your homes and get back into your home as quickly as possible. We have our own employees that are your neighbors and your friends that are going through the very same thing that you're going through. So when I ask that tonight, just be mindful of the fact that all of the people, or most of the people that work in this department, are Pasco County residents, and many of them live right here in your neighborhoods. And they really want to help you rebuild. We've got some new challenges this year that we've never faced before. We've had some policy revisions that we've never had to face before, and that's what's causing a lot of our concern. So first one, know that we really do want to help. That's why all of us are here working for the government in public service. 2, and perhaps really unpopular, every bit of repair or work in a special flood hazard area, in a flood zone, requires a permit, whether or not the Florida Building Code requires it. What that looks like here for Pasco County is the substantial damage, substantial improvement package. We have to document those costs. Second, we are required by federal, state, and the Florida Building Code to conduct a substantial damage determination for every property in the special flood hazard area, or again, flood zone, before we can issue a permit. And that is probably what brings most of you into the room tonight, is the length of time that process is taking, but we have to make that determination. So what are we doing to that end? We doubled our inspection force by requesting admission from the city. We brought in 60 inspectors to do substantial damage evaluation. It started at about 20, 30 today, and as of today, we're doing about 1,000 of these substantial damage evaluations per day.
JP, can I ask you to back up for 1 second? Because you didn't say why we're all going through this. So I want you to understand, just set the stage first, FEMA rules and why, and we are a community rating number 2. Could you explain that? Because that sets the groundwork for why we have to follow these rules.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how many of you, just by show of hands, have a flood insurance policy? How many of you, leave your hand up if you have a private flood insurance policy? Not provided by the National Flood Insurance Program. Yeah, so there's a lot of hands still up, but most of you, if you have a flood insurance policy, your flood insurance policy is underwritten by the National Flood Insurance Program. It's a program that runs under FEMA. As a result, in order for us, Pasco County, to have that insurance underwritten by the federal program, we have to agree to certain regulations dealing with properties in the floodplain. So what does that mean? So Commissioner Starkey began to talk about it. At a minimum, any property that is substantially damaged, which we've probably all heard of this, but if you've had more than 50% damage to your property for any reason, it's known as substantial damage, and what you have to do is you have to elevate that structure out of the risk area or the special flood hazard area, or demo it and bring it up to permit code. That is one of the primary components of the National Flood Insurance Policy. Now, Commissioner Starkey talked about the community rating system. That is something that communities can participate in to mitigate additional risks and lower the risk to that community, which means a discount in your pocket for your policyholders. So in Pasco, she mentioned we are a 5. That means, and we just lowered that this year through the hard work of the folks behind me. That means that your insurance policy, if we didn't participate in that program, would be at least 25% higher. The year prior was 20%. We got you an additional 5%. We want to maintain that program, right? Obviously for housing affordability, housing resiliency. A lot of it is really about public safety. For those of you who don't know, we've done over 1,200 high water rescues between these 2 events alone for properties that were below base flood elevation. We're going to be spending close to, if not more than, $50 million in disaster recovery expenses in these flood-prone areas. Obviously, we see the piles and piles and piles of debris. That's being cleaned up. You know who's paying for that? FEMA and the state, and eventually some portion will come from Pasco County. In that initial period, it's paid for both by the state and FEMA. That goes away if we no longer participate in the NFIP program We can no longer underwrite insurance. If you don't realize this, if you cannot get a flood insurance policy, most FDI insured banks cannot write you a mortgage. They cannot write you a HELOC. They cannot write anything because they don't have the security underwriting. That also means Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac go away. So it's really important that since we are underwriting these policies in NFIP here, that we follow these regulations, because that can go away. We can be put into probation, and if we further don't comply, we can be suspended and no longer have to do any of those things.
And that happened to Tarpon Springs, and that is happening right now to Lee County, because they didn't stay on top of these permitting rules, and they lost their ability to discount their flood insurance and to collect the money to pick up the trash and that whole thing. So there's a big mess going on in South Florida. We do not want that to happen here, because we'll have to pick up the bill for all that if God forbid it happens again. So Pinellas County, they went to a level 2. I think it was crazy. Their residents get a 40% discount on their flood insurance, but their threshold is 30%. My son lost his house in Pinellas County. It's 30% damage. You cannot rebuild it. You must elevate it and that's kind of the stage for why we have to follow the rules that we are.
Let's talk real quick about the 49% rule. So I mentioned 50%. One of the ways we got that additional discount was by reducing the percentage 1 point. I don't know how many points that got us for a discount, but that reduction is why we call it the 50% rule. It's in reality it's 49%. What does that mean? That means if the total cost to restore your structure to pre-damage condition is more than 49% of your home's market value, then you must elevate, demo, and we'll talk about the other options here in a second, but to comply with the code, it's either elevate or demo. Now, we're making an initial assessment. Understand that's an estimate. We are doing our best guess based on a FEMA damage assessment tool that our inspectors are using to create an estimate of your damage. If you receive, well, everyone's going to receive a letter. So no matter what parcel you live in, you're going to receive one of 2 letters. Really one of 3, but for Gulf Harbor, it's 1 of 2. One, we believe that your property is substantially damaged. That means we estimate your damages in excess of 49% of your home's total market value. Or 2, your home was not substantially damaged. In both cases, we ask you to get a permit. Anything you're going to do from that point forward is going to require a permit. You're going to elevate, you're going to get a permit. The good news is, permits to elevate are super easy.
But the cost is
2, if you're going to demo, or you want to demo, and I already spoke with one lady whose house was substantially damaged, destroyed, and they want to demo. Well, for the next 90 days, and possibly longer if we can get that approved by the state, Pasco County will fast track a demo for you. So if you're going to demo your structure at no cost to you, you will sign a waiver and we will demo that structure at no cost to the homeowner. You keep the property, you keep the land, you have fee simple title to it, whatever. We don't want to take that property off the tax roll. We want to make it a little bit easier for you to elevate that property out of the risk. So that's one of the things that is probably unique to Pasco County that we're doing. In addition, if you are declared substantially damaged, there's a host of FEMA recovery programs available to you. The state recently told us about a program under SBA, which we're waiting to get some information. That's going to be posted on our website. But those are your 2 primary options if you're substantially damaged. If you're not substantially damaged, you're just going to get a permit. We're going to review your substantial damage, substantial improvement package, and then it'll take a few days to do that, and then you can make your repairs. Now, say you get a substantial damage letter. Your home is substantially damaged. We believe your home is.
Not a few days.
Okay, I'll talk about the permit process in a minute. You can expect it within about a week or so. We have to finish Gulf Harbor, so we've done about 70% of those evaluations in Gulf Harbors. Let me just finish this piece and then I'll get to the questions. If you get a substantial damage letter. You are more than 49%. What are you going to do? There's two things that are incredibly helpful, and we ask all of you to do it. Apply for a permit. But when you apply for a permit, you're going to fill out that substantial damage, substantial improvement package. And if you look at that package and the number that you come to at the end of doing the calculation is more than 49% of your home's market value, I strongly suggest you get independent appraisal. Because here's the value we use. We use the property appraiser's building value for your home times 15%, or times 1.115. So we add 15% to the amount that is shown on pcpao.org. Okay? If that number is too low for you to do your repairs, get an independent private appraisal, because that is the driving number. The more you have on your building market value, the more room you have to play with repairs. Some folks may not be able to get there if you have total destruction like the woman I spoke to before the meeting. For most of you, Gulf Harbors, you enjoy high building values, which also means that based on the amount of damage you've received, you also have a lot of room to make repairs. $30,000, $40,000, yeah, that's a big dollar number for most of us. I know it is for me, but that fits well below $200,000 on a $400,000 home. So there's a lot of room to work. So I want to give you a little bit of hope there, but absolutely those two things. Now, the other thing that's super helpful when filling out your substantial determination package is pictures. I think everybody in here probably has a smartphone or some device that is taking digital photographs. Send those to us. That helps us. If you had 3 foot of water outside your house, but you only had 3 inches of water inside the house, and you got a water line you can show us. Because that's going to help our floodplain folks make a determination that is different than your home is substantial damage. Our mind can always be changed on the substantial damage. That letter is just the first step for you. We are required to take that step. We don't necessarily want to hold you up any longer, but we cannot issue a permit until we give you a substantial damage or not damage determination. One way or another, we have to do that. And that's the processes that has taken a bit of time here for the past few weeks, because we had to get inspectors here to do it.
Can you talk about who we got here to do that?
Yeah. So our normal size staff for inspections is about 74 guys. They all report to Raymond Blanco here, and I'll introduce the team here shortly before we get to questions. We brought 60 folks in just to do substantial damage evaluations. So we've doubled our workforce to try to get this done as fast as possible. Our neighbors to the south are saying it's going to take months. We believe we'll be done with the west side of 19 within the next 5 to 6 days. So, and Gulf Harbors here specifically, we've got 70% done. So we are working as fast as we can to get those determinations made, so that our flood folks can look at your packages and issue you permits or help you work through the next steps of what you're going to do to recover. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, they were doing 500 a day. Now you said they're up to 600 a day?
We're almost at 1,000 a day.
That's an amazing number. I'm just so proud of you.
Yeah, so we had over 13,000 structures affected west of 19, just in Helene, before we even talk about this.
That's the group that's going around with the vests that you've contracted in?
Yes, so
Okay,
that's I knew to follow up on that. So we hired through the state. So when we get in these disaster situations, our emergency manager in the corner says, "What do you need?" And we look at them and we go, "We need more people." And so he puts a request into the Florida Department of Emergency Management and says, "We need as many people as you can give us to do XYZ tasks." As a result, the state has a contract with a company called Tidal Basin to come down and do this very work, and that's exactly what they got delivered. We got 60 extra individuals to come through and push through this mission as fast as possible. So that's Tidal Basin. They work for us, but they work through the state, and they do not make the determination. I want to be very clear about this one thing. They utilize the FEMA tool as a standardized tool that gives us information. Ultimately, our flood team makes the determination. So once our flood team makes that determination, your letters are sent out, and away we go on the process. They will come in. So yeah, they will knock on your door. They don't have to come in the house. Yeah, and in fact, if you don't want them in the house, they won't come in. If you don't even want them on your property, you can say don't come on your property. But that's going to be a lot harder for us to make a determination. So we ask that you work with them, particularly, I've heard a lot of folks go, hey, I don't have much damage. Well, if you let them in and show them you don't have that much damage, that makes this team's job a heck of a lot easier when making those determinations. So they can do that from the street. We also have a lot of perishable data that we collected immediately following the storm. So a combination of aerials with street evaluations. Our team does initial damage assessment. And a lot of that information, if we cannot get access into the structure, there'll be a walk around you can see. And this is kind of...
what is substantial damage based on? 6 inches? 5 feet? What do you guys have?
Yeah, so there's a number of different factors that go into it based on the structure. So.
Wait, can you repeat the question because the people back there didn't hear his question?
Yeah, so the question was, what is substantial damage? And there's no hard and fast rule on it's a foot, it's 2 foot. I'll tell you as just a cue, the Army Corps of Engineers has 2 metrics that they use. It's not the end all be all. The Army Corps of Engineers says for a mobile home, 1 foot of water or more is substantially damaged generally, just based on how the math works out across their experience. For a CMU or a single family standalone home, it's 3 foot of water. That's just how that generally works out. But again, they don't look at that. They look at individual systems, they look at the foundation, they look at the amount of inundation. We have obviously information about how much debris is at the curb. You know, if you got windows sitting at the curb, that's pretty good at understanding that you got pretty well impacted. So let me just take 1 second. I'll take some more questions here. I want to introduce the team. So we have our building official, Anthony Mastraccio. You can raise your hand. It's okay. They won't bite, I promise. Not yet, anyway. Our deputy building official for inspections, Ray Blanco. Yeah, can you stand up for us? So Anthony, this is Raymond in the gray, and Anthony in the purple, and Savin Patel, deputy building official, central permitting, also our flood plan manager. Raise your hand. Don't call him. No, I'm kidding. Jeff Blaskovich is over our plans review team, and then over here you have Chris Maine, who's our chief inspector for minimum standards, and we'll get to his. You don't really want to see his team, and we'll get to why that is later. But his team is actually very helpful, particularly if you're getting taken advantage of by an unlicensed contractor.
Can we speak to each one of these individually when this is over?
Yeah, the question is, can you speak to each one of them individually when this is over? Unfortunately, we'll give you some contact information. These folks have worked a very long day. We'd like them to get to their families. But we also have some folks in the back. We've got some plans reviewers. We've got some permit techs. We've got some members of our flood team. Vance from Chris's team is in the back. If there's an individual question on a specific case pertaining to your property, I'll try to redirect you back there so we can get some information and get you a very distinct answer. So, with that, sir, you got your hand up in the back. Does he need a microphone?
Yes, I'm coming.
No, it's okay.
Just looking for some clarification. If I'm not home during the day when they show up and they're peeking through the windows or whatever, that's fine. I have no problem with that. As far as that goes, am I still going to get a letter or do I have to be there? Do I have to
No, so we will conduct the evaluation whether you're there or not. Now, again, I want to reiterate and stress this point. The best thing you can do to help these folks make determinations is apply for a permit and give them a complete and accurate substantial determination, substantial improvement package. And if you got pictures, give us pictures. That's the best. And then, if you're close, you can do the math. If you're close, get that private appraisal.
Right here.
I just want to be clear, so the FEMA inspector that we have is separate. You guys, the county still needs to come out even though FEMA did their inspection.
Yeah, the scope of FEMA's inspection is completely different. They're looking at, do you have a financial need? We're looking at the health of the structure.
Okay, one more. Will we know if it was done? Are they leaving notes on the door in case we're not home?
We don't have a door hanger, but that is some feedback that we recently got. So our communications team is working on a leave behind so they were there. Once your evaluation goes through a QA, QC process, it's automatically posted on our website. We'll turn that on here probably within the next few days. And you can always go on to mypathco.net, go to the flood program page, and you can log in, look at your individual property address, and see if you had a determination letter and see what your report was. That will be there for eternity, so you can always go back to it and reference it, whether you're talking to an insurance agent, you're talking to a lender, you're talking to the SBA, whomever. We'll leave that information there because that's just going to be easier for you.
Can you repeat that site, please?
Yeah, it's mypassco.net. I'm just going to follow the microphone, but we'll get to you.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to thank you and commend you for setting up the temporary situation at the DMV. The staff was very helpful. I got my permit within a week. My problem is getting contractors to come in that way. But my questions are twofold. One is, I've been told by contractors that they can take pictures and not wait for an inspection, like on the insulation drywall. Is that correct information?
There's no reason to take pictures. If they schedule it for tomorrow, the inspectors will be there tomorrow. There's no delay.
So you're saying pictures are not acceptable?
We like to see the work. So there is no days of delay. When they schedule it, we will be there.
So you're saying the picture thing is a no?
It's a no. It's a no. Circumstances for like rooms and stuff, that's part of the normal process. But.
Okay, and then my other question was, would the county consider longer hours or Saturday hours for inspections?
He said they're coming out the next day or that day.
Yeah, but let's say I finish something tomorrow, okay? Monday's a holiday, so that means it's Tuesday before I get an inspection.
So we just to help you out, we have been working long hours for the first 3 weeks. We were on 12-hour shifts. We are currently out at Gulf Harbor's 8 to 5. We're still operating Saturday hours, though the county administrator may close it.
I'm talking inspection.
Yeah. Again, if it's scheduled, we 99.8% roll. You will not get rolled over. You'll get it the next day. Follow the microphone.
Hold on, here we
I'll
go.
give you this one now.
Hi there, I have a quick question. So a lot of these rules have only been implemented maybe 2 weeks ago, right? You're coming out to inspect, now that we've heard about a lot of people in the neighborhood. So a lot of this has all come together in the past 2 to 3 weeks, your procedures. So what about the people who got in their homes and started to do their work, close their door, close up their walls, and now you're saying, we're hearing that you're gonna come tear them down, you're gonna make us tear them down?
We won't make you tear it down. So two things. Right now, permit fees are waived. They won't be waived forever. We haven't set an end date. That is up to the commission and quite frankly the county administrator. I expect that will probably be for another 90 days or so because we have to put an end date for your very problem actually. That also means after the fact fees are waived. If you've already had work done, we still want to work with you. Please come to us. We're not going to penalize you. We're not going to fine you right now. Because this isn't a forever offer. Yeah, this isn't a forever offer. Yeah, this isn't a forever offer, right? Because we want to work with you. We understand people did whatever they needed to do in the moment. And good, bad, or indifferent, from here on out, everybody knows you got to get a permit in the flood zone no matter what. So that being said, we want you to apply for a permit. We will waive the after-the-fact fees. Based on what needs to be inspected, our inspectors will work with you, but some stuff might need to be adjusted, or you can get dealt with a letter from an engineer or one of those things. But we'd rather you go through that after-the-fact process now than 6, 8 months from now when FEMA comes and they go, tell us about this home on Florimore that just sold on Zillow. It looks brand new, but we have insurance information that shows that they got to pay out of $158,000. Show us their permits. And that's the real fear. This is actually what happened down in South Florida. So to your point, I want to be very clear about the two-week thing. You're absolutely right. Policies had to change a little bit on the fly because our old methodology for dealing with the substantial damage piece was, we believe all of you are law-abiding citizens. You're going to come get a permit and we'll evaluate the amount of damage when you get that permit. what FEMA was finding is that communities that did that, overwhelmingly people didn't get permits, they didn't have enforcement on the NFIP regulations, and so they basically have revoked our ability to handle it that way. And they want us to lean forward to make those determinations and make those inspections. So yes, that's where you had your 2-week delay. Otherwise, we would have done that immediately.
In that situation, I would think that pictures would be acceptable. Right?
Pictures may be acceptable. There are some things that are life safety requirements that our inspectors just have to take a look at, or have some certainty that when you go to sell that home, or that your family living in that home 6-8 months from now is going to be safe, and they're not going to have a fire because the wiring wasn't changed out following flooding.
Right.
Okay, go. Hello. Obviously, everybody has a different situation that's in the room, whether it's 3 inches up to many feet. We're hearing a lot of things about needing insulation and needing this and needing that. We have opened up walls, a lot of us, and have found that there are no insulation. So if you are not at the 49% rule, is there a reason that insulation should be put in? 2, if you haven't reached over the level of the electrical, which is probably close to around 2 feet, and you are less, is there any reason that you have to start worrying about doing electricity? If we have been able to turn our homes on and they are running, I don't understand the electrical inspection. And then my insurance guy said, listen, don't get any guy that's going to come in your house and say, you need your house to be done because we are not going to. And my microphone keeps popping out, don't know why.
So, if I can recap.
So there's a lot of questions about what we have to or not have to do because we want to get our houses back and live in them because this is a nightmare situation.
Okay. In reference to installation questions, once those walls are open, the code that we use that will repair your homes is going to be the Florida existing building code. So it's going to be brought back to Florida standards as the home was built. The majority of the interior walls, if your interior wall had insulation on it, it was done for a factor of sound. Some time back, they put insulation around the bathrooms, or they put insulation around, wherever, the washing machine or whatever else to keep it quiet for the individuals in the adjacent room. The only insulation that you'll find will be in the ceiling and the exterior walls. That's the only area. The exterior walls, if it's a CMU building, it might be concrete block, sorry, acronyms. The concrete block will be a fine paper membrane. So it's pretty easy to see, but it's very thin. It's not your typical insulation that you see, the fiberglass that you would see on a 3 or 4 insulated wall. That's the insulation factor. With the drywall, drywall must be repaired as it was. And some people may have torn all the drywall out, removed all of it. But the majority of the houses will, the initial after the storm, cut the drywall, let's get the air on, get some fans in there and start drying this thing out. Rip up your flooring and get it going. The drywall, as long as you replace the drywall with the actual thickness it was, it does not need, to be 5/8 thick, fire-rated drywall. If it was fire-rated on the ceiling of the garage, if you changed it, that would be the only area that required. Even the separation from the house, the garage to the house, is a 1/2-inch separation.
So if your home has, some of these houses have no insulation, exterior walls are the exterior walls with no insulation, and you're not at 49%, does anyone have to come up to that of putting insulation, or just making a choice to add insulation now, but you don't have to do insulation if it wasn't there?
Correct. If you're repairing it, you will repair it as it was built. If you rip everything out and say, hey, I want to renovate my whole house, this is the time, and I just don't want to repair it, I want to rip all the walls out and renovate everything. If you renovate everything, then it has to be brought up to current code. But repairing the flood damage, repair it as the house was originally constructed.
So I want to add a point to that before we move on. Hold on. Before you go to that next question, and this guy up here has been really patient. I think this is on mine. What Anthony says is absolutely correct, but also repairs is the substantial damage. Substantial improvement still applies.
Yeah.
So as you go to make additions, you know, if let's just say you have a $200,000 threshold, you've got to stay under, you got $50,000 worth of damage, and you want to go spend some money while it's open. Great. Be mindful of your threshold, because that threshold is cumulative for a year. So as you go making additional things, and that by the way, hasn't changed. It's always been the policy for those of you doing work in the flood zone. So I'm going to give the mic to this gentleman.
I've got a microphone.
What about the
You
electrical
said that
question?
Bill Parker says you've done 70% already. Where are you in how many have substantial damage? Out of that 70%.
I don't know if we know that. Yeah, I don't know if we know that answer yet, because we've done the evaluations, and their team has to go through and do the determination.
Okay, got two things for you. One being, for anybody who hasn't had that PASCO inspection that you talked about for the disaster assessment, we had them on Galleon Court 2 days ago, and they're only going to ask you one question. They're going to ask you, how deep was the water? That's all they want to know. There's no assessment. They're not going to ask you about the value of anything. They're going to ask you one question. How deep was the water? That's all they want to know. Well, they're going to look for a water line on your house. That's what she asked me for. Where's the water line? And I walk her around the house. So that's number one. Number two is a question about drywall. So I've been going over to the county once a week. We submitted our permit application about 10 days ago and haven't got. Deb, congratulations. Glad you got your permit. We hope we're right behind you. So the question, I was told that they will not be inspecting the drywall distance of screws or nails. I'm asking you up there, please confirm for us what the drywall inspection, if there is going to be a drywall inspection, and what it will consist of. Thank you.
No, there is no drywall. And keep in mind, the inspections that are, it's not a drywall inspection. And when you get your permit, keep in mind there may be additional inspections in there based on what your scope of work, what your contractor or yourself added in there. If the inspector goes and sees it was added, it's an additional not applicable inspection, they will result it as not applicable.
I have a question on the follow-up on that gentleman there. And so I'm on Galleon Court. I had 11 or 14 inches outside my house, but I guess I'm very lucky. My house stayed very sealed and only had 2 inches inside. So if I think that if they're going to say, well, the water outside was 11 or 14 inches, what do? I guess, do I look and see when that letter comes in and I correct it with a photo, or what's the steps?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So to the gentleman's point, they may ask you that question, but they're also doing a visual.
I wasn't there.
They're going to do a visual inspection as well. They're going to look at, do you have damage to the structure? Is there any foundation damage?
So are they walking around the house?
If
Which
you
I don't
allow
mind.
them to, they don't have to.
But I wasn't there, so they already did my street. So
That's correct.
So so what's the follow-up to this
So the
letter?
follow is you're going to get the letter. But again, and in your case, you've already applied for a permit. So it just goes back to my point. Apply for a permit. Provide the detail. Pictures, because that gives us. But basically, what we need at the end of the day is a leg to stand on that says, FEMA, we determined this house to not be substantially damaged. Here's why. So anything you can give us, if you have an insurance adjustment that shows that, well, we're going to use that $200,000 value, that you only had $80,000 damage, great, share that with us if you're willing to share that with us. You know, because any information you can give us to demonstrate you are below that threshold, that makes the team's job really easy to go, no, they didn't have potential damage, here's why.
I have not applied for permits yet. This will be all over Facebook, so I just want you to know. I have not applied for permits yet. We are still working on our substantial damage package. I haven't even had time to put my appliances out on the street yet. So, yeah, we're working on it, and I'm still learning like a lot of you. And good for you to get.
I've got a drywall question.
All right, where's Paris?
Hello. I've got a drywall question. So I have plaster in my house. So obviously we're not going to put plaster in our house again. So, switching with drywall, the same thickness, my question is, are we planning on putting just a ½ inch in there and just kind of like shimming it out?
Yeah, that's correct, sir. And some of the older structures I've had plaster or some unique situations, that is fine with ½ inch. ½ inch is the minimum. If you put at least ½ inch, you can shim it out, you can add, additional texture to it, whatever the walls are, to fill up that space. You can add a piece of lap, something to gain that distance, but ½ inch is the minimum drywall that's allowed. And the Florida Building Code does not require a drywall inspection. However, what Raymond was alluding to is we want to see it, so when it's cut out, the inspector wants to go there for their first rough inspection. We're going to see it cut out open, whatever the distance is for your permit, make sure the wiring is good, make sure that water didn't wick up on your drywall any higher. So it would just be a visual inspection, then immediately you could go into drywall and then the finishing stage. So after you install drywall, as long as all the roughs are done, if you had mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, if it was included for a rough inspection, you can install the drywall and finish it and get it done, and then move on again.
So I've got a question, a substantial damage package. I completed it, like, empty, because they said it. Yeah. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, the home's damaged. I want to get it fixed.
What was her question? A lot of us did not hear it.
That I submitted a package and it was rejected by the county because I'm not homesteaded.
So my team is saying. Okay, so.
I'm assuming that you tried to apply for a permit as an owner's contractor. Okay. So if the home is not your primary residence, or it is not homesteaded, or if it's in a trust, or I'm trying to speak as loud as I can. I was told up, down, so I'm trying. Okay. So if it's in a trust, if it's not your primary residence, if it's in an LLC, you cannot be owner as contractor.
Okay. FEMA regulation or Pasco County regulation?
It's a state law.
State law?
Yes, ma'am.
Next question on this side before I head up front.
We did some drywall work. My question is, if we had an independent engineer look at these walls before we covered it, and we also did videos and pictures, is that going to be sufficient to tear everything out?
Okay, the question was if an engineer looked at the drywall prior to the permit being issued, as long as he provides a letter, what happens is once that is done and my team cannot inspect it, all that liability falls on my license. So we take it pretty serious when you hold a CBO license, but due to the circumstances, I know we have 70+ inspectors. If it's done by a licensed architect or engineer and they put it on the signed letter, signed and sealed, I will accept it.
Question. What is the county using to verify the values of these forms?
So we have,
because if we're owner, owner contractor, and we put a value down there of what it costs for us to buy something, and it takes us 10 minutes to put it in, not an hour to put it in, really, that's the value. So are you going to test that?
Yeah, we have, basically you have to do, when it comes to the specificity, labor, materials. You got materials? Give us a receipt. You know, if it was...
What if we didn't buy it? I mean,
that's fine. You still have to apply a value to it. So what those materials would ordinarily cost?
I mean, I can put values to everything, every one based upon Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah,
wherever I'm going to buy it.
We have there's not a one-size-fits-all.
For me, I'm not putting an hour in for a receptacle. It only takes me 10 minutes to do an instruction.
You can do a 0.1 for what I'm
So we're not going to get contested with these forms and values.
No, you might get a back and forth that says we disagree on a particular value. Like we know it didn't take you 3 hours to do the whole home worth of drywall.
It's common,
But, yeah,
it's common knowledge. How long
and it's different by trade
based
too.
upon your experience. I mean, everybody's different.
Correct. Yeah, so if a drywaller makes $15 an hour and it took you 1 hour to hang drywall, put $15 down.
JP, can you talk about, a lot of you turned in forms and some of you got put into a pile that needed a few more questions answered. Can you talk about
Yes.
those?
Yeah, so one of the things that will cause additional delay is if your status is revisions required, right? If our plans reviewer or our flood team has asked for additional information, you're gonna get notified of that through our Acela system. Automated email. Now we understand a lot of you don't need to use email, so one of the things we're doing is trying to get a team spun up to call down and call those folks and say, hey, we're waiting on revisions for you, so you're not just waiting, not hearing anything. But all of your permits, if you did them as OIC, owner is contractor, we just talked about that in fact. It's going to send you an email if we need something. In which case, you log into the system and provide the update. You can come and see one of our folks at the pop-up site or at our 3 building locations. If you want to go all the way out to Akuchi, that's available to you too. But in any event, be checking for that status. If you don't know what your status is, you can call the building permitting number. I can tell you what that is right now, or you can just find it on the website. 847 8126. And while we're writing numbers down,
So what's the prefix?
727. While we're writing numbers down, I'm going to give you the county customer service number as well. And that's for any other question not building permit related. You want to know some more about FEMA assistance from the county? The number again for building construction services, 727-847-8126. And then for they're on our website as well. Now, customer service number, 727. This is for anything not building construction services related. 727-847-2411.
I have licensed contractors that are doing my work. They said they're pulling their permits. And all I hear is about people pulling their own permits. We've got rejected several times because the figures weren't right. So is that okay if I just rely on this to get?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, licensed contractor, if they provide you a quote, we're going to use that.
I want to know how long it's taking to get a permit. My permits have been sitting for over a month.
Do we have a number on that?
Probably in that file.
What?
Yeah,
Did
so the
you
question
check your email?
was how long is a permit taking? And the answer, unfortunately,
I go on the website all the time and look, and now they told me that the actual permit that I applied for electrical and building was approved, but now it's waiting for flood.
yeah, so you're in the flood review file. So Marcus, can you just touch base on that? Oh, perfect, fine.
Hello. You said that we're gonna go out. When do you think people will start receiving those letters?
Probably about a week and a half.
Yeah, for the,
Ours is a strictly replacement thing, and we have a contract. Oh, it's strictly replacement. So, what is this packet thing? Is this for?
So if you have a contractor, your contractor, you're going to tell him to get a permit. If he doesn't get a permit, he's going to be in big trouble.
No, he's applied online.
Okay, so your contractor is probably aware that he has to fill out a substantial damage or substantial improvement package. He may ask you specific questions. It'd be good if you talk to your contractor and say, what did you put on my substantial damage, substantial improvement package? Because remember, the costs are the total cost to restore your home to the pre-storm condition, not just the work you're doing. So that will be a holdup. If you just had an AC contractor and they don't have a complete SDSI package, the AC contractor is not going to get that permit until we have all that information.
Now, is he able to, he's finished inside, the inside. Is he able to keep finishing it, like painting and
If he's got his permit and he schedules his inspections, he can continue doing the work.
Okay.
And that's the legal answer I have to give you, is that he needs to do his work and do his inspection.
Okay, here you go.
You keep on mentioning the 90 days for the fast track demo. When, from what date?
Okay, so the 90 days is from the landfall of the event. Yeah, so we will have through December. In about, I would say, 5 days, we'll have that information posted on our website. Unfortunately, I don't have anything I can give you, but that is something we're doing quickly. It's a waiver, and you don't even have a permit, because our contractor will permit.
I want to add something onto that, because in this call, we learned something very interesting. So sadly, you were very impacted then if you have to demolish your home. The Small Business Administration has a program. Do we even know the name of it?
Yeah, it's the SBA loan.
Okay, it's SBA loan, but it's up to $500,000 with a, I think she said 2.38% interest with a 30-year mortgage. That's a pretty good.
I want to clarify.
Did I say it right?
The loan the term can go up to 30 years at 2.38.
Yeah.
And if you say you wanted to elevate your home and you can get it under, let's call it $200,000, you can actually roll your remaining mortgage into that program and then re-amortize it, which is a heck of a deal if you're at 6.75% or higher, right? So.
And that is not, there are really no income qualifications on that, other than your ability to repay it back at the 2.3. So, you know, if you're a multimillionaire, you can still get that. Actually, one of our county employees has been impacted twice by previous hurricanes. He has 2 of them. And he said it was pretty easy to do. So I thought that was really good information. Excuse me? Well, there's that. But we wanted to have forms here today on this, but I don't think we were able to get that yet. But if you know of someone who lost their home, we have at least 700 homes that we think are going to be gone. So please share that information. Thank you. Not in Gulf Harbor, in the west side of the county.
Yes, I will try. I'm a little bit confused about, maybe you answered this question, but I didn't hear it. I would like to have contractors come and one by one fix things. So I'm not going to submit some kind of a package because that electrician doesn't know what the drywall person will do. How does that work?
Okay, so if you want to do trade by trade, you're still going to get what's called a res-alt package. Okay? You're going to get a residential alteration. No matter what you want to do, when you want to do it, the faster you fill out the cost to restore your structure to pre-damage condition, once we have that and we make that determination, as you want to come in and get an AC permit, you can get an AC permit. That will be cumulative added to your SDSI total. If you're, that is totally up to you because they can pull it under the res-alt. You can add them as a contractor or they can get a different permit after we have the substantial determination. If you're going to have a contractor do it all, your contractor is going to pull your permits for you. You will need to help do the substantial determination.
It's better for you to get the form, put yourself, are you homesteaded? Get the form, make yourself be the contractor. And then under that, each contractor that works in each trade can go get a permit under that, right?
Right. So then you're going to need a GC to do that. Correct. Yes. Yeah, if you're not the owner's contractor, basically the way it works is you can only get your trades if you're a GC or you're the contractor. Because the general contractor looks over the whole site.
We don't have flood insurance. We don't have flood insurance, and we did it ourselves with handyman. We fixed it. We didn't get the permit. I want to confirm. So what is the process now? I just go online, or I have to go in person to do that permit, and how I do that? Because the value, it was
not even close to the 49%
So
of the house.
Here's where you'll have some problems because you've already done the work, you've already uncovered everything or recovered everything. We're going to make a determination based on what we observed, right? It's going to be up to you again to fill out the substantial damage, substantial improvement package, and tell us how much it costs, market value, to make the repairs that you already made. We'll deal with it as an after-the-fact permit, but you're still going to have to fill out that package and get a permit. Remind you, it doesn't cost anything, and right now there's no penalty for doing it, other than it may be a little bit of headache to get some inspections done for covered work.
So everybody is substantial, but the money is
No, not everybody's substantial, but because you did work before the permit, we're going to have to evaluate your situation based on your costs and based on our pictures, based on the evaluations. And if you are substantially damaged, we're going to, what's that? Yeah, please provide the pictures. But if you are substantially damaged, we're going to have to talk about the value that you provided and possibly have you get a private appraisal.
So we have to submit pictures or whatever?
Yeah, so on our website, substantial damage, substantial improvement package. It's one package. You're going to go through and you're going to tell us what the scope of your damage was and what it would have cost to make repairs to that damage.
When you're talking about not doing
Yes.
would you have talked about that for a certain amount of time, the county or someone else would cover having to do that? So where my question is, because, I mean, obviously, we would love to know that insurance is going to pay us what we need to rebuild our home. It's obviously a lot more comfortable to know that I'm getting what I'm getting, I know what I'm working in, before y'all nicely knock my home down for free. So, how long is that period that you would do that? Because 90 days with working with insurance companies right now, that's not much.
The 90-day period is for 100% payment. We're doing it because we're going to get FEMA dollars and state dollars to do it. Beyond that, we have to evaluate whether or not the county will appropriate funds through the building funds to do additional demo because that will cost the county additional dollars. Correct. And it's why it's a fast track waiver, so you make a determination quickly. And you don't have to wait for our substantial determination. If you want to demo it, you'll still apply. You're going to sign the waiver, and we'll go do all the rest. Right.
How did the water have to be
Over 3 feet. There's not a hard and fast rule, but for a single family home, we generally would apply the Army Corps of Engineers rule 3 foot. But we are going to look at every individual structure to figure out where it's at relative to
I have a question regarding.
Wait a minute, we have the microphone here.
I'm pretty loud.
I know, but he's been waiting.
Can everybody hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, I got a simple question and I'll make it simple. This gentleman here, that's an example, he's a GC. He's going to charge me $100,000 to fix my house, right? That's the number. I can do it for $75,000. I'm the owner. How do I, or...
Could you use the mic because they can...
Oh, I quiver, so I apologize. So I can't. So if there's a $25,000 gap between the GC and myself, what does the county see that $25,000 value as?
They want the 100.
Okay, and that's a legitimate question. So, does it become that? So whatever this gentleman is going to charge me, he's the professional. I can do it for $75,000. The real value is $100,000. Correct?
Yes.
If you're saying you can do it for $75,000.
Do you all understand my question?
All right. So, yeah, the question was the GC charges $100,000. I think I can do it myself for $75,000. You have to understand that you also have to calculate the relative market value of your labor rate. Your labor is not free.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's why, I mean, his labor is not free either.
Gotcha.
You're saving money essentially on the overhead costs.
Right. But it's just
and you have to manage the job.
So it's for paper. It's for paperwork.
For FEMA.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question right here, Mary?
But even if it still comes
The house is dry out.
Correct. I'm still saying.
I've done my package, the application, I'm ready to put insulation in. Can I put insulation in before the permit's approved?
Yeah, is there a pre-inspection when you apply for drywall? Is there a pre-inspection done? That was my question.
Yes, the building inspector will come out prior to the installation of materials. So the verification will be made as far as the scenario that the inspector sees on site to your paperwork. So if you indicated, I cut 2 feet of drywall, all your paperwork's 2 feet of drywall, he looks, the electrical looks good, safe, I don't see any issues, mold, proceed, let's get going and wrap it up. If it's different, then there have to be a revision done just so the actual condition matches the plan.
How's in between what the permit is?
What's that, sir?
How do you get the inspection?
Once you get your permit, you have to have the permit in hand. So once you get your permit, it'll be your first inspection.
Don't you need an inspection before you get the permit?
Yeah, so let me clarify the question, Coach. How do you get this inspection? There is not. I'm going to confuse you all. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. There's no building inspection that occurs prior to your permit. There is, we'll call it a floodplain evaluation, a substantial damage evaluation. You do not have to call. We're doing. I see you back there. We're doing this automatically. If you already have a permit application in process, we're going to send somebody out. So we reduce that time frame, but you don't have to do anything.
Are you going street by street? Because if you were on Galleon,
That's not it.
over.
That's not these guys.
That's different.
I've got my air traffic controller in the back.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Explain the difference between damage assessment inspection versus.
You did twice, but do it again.
Okay. The clarification from Ray was, explain the difference between a substantial damage evaluation and a building inspection. Substantial damage evaluation, a code inspector is not coming to look at any improvements or anything else. We are just looking to evaluate the damage. Think about it like it's an insurance adjuster with no license. We're not doing any adjusting, we're not doing anything. We're estimating damage. They're in your neighborhood today. We've done 70% of Gulf Harbors already.
They've been here for 10 days.
Correct.
Okay, I've got a quick question. I know there's loans, special loans for people who need it for demolishing their homes. How about grants? Are there anything for those who can't afford a loan and they're told to knock down their homes?
Yeah, there are. However, I'm not the expert to tell you about that. So the best place to start is at the Florida Division of Emergency Management and the FEMA website, unfortunately.
I tried to look online.
You want to talk about increased costs of compliance? If you have flood insurance and you've suffered, please explain yourself.
So if you have flood insurance through the NFIP program, you could apply for ICC grant, which will be a $30,000 grant, up to $30,000 grant. And there's also applied on FEMA website for HNGP grant. That is completely the FEMA website, but also you can go to our county website, mycostco.net, and go to emergency management website, our page where they have more information on grants.
Okay, my question is for Commissioner Starkey. Good to see you, ma'am. All of us, I'm not saying all, but a good portion of us believe that you are trying to gentrify this neighborhood.
I have nothing to do with the federal law.
Tonight is not the night for that, people. Tonight is not the night. I really mean that.
This is my life, you know.
But not tonight. We came here for, we
I
have
have
house
nothing to do with
issues,
the FEMA
not
laws.
personal issues tonight, and I really mean that.
And so I think what we've done as your commissioners here to stay at a level 5 was very smart and prudent. We got you a 25% discount on your insurance, and we're at the 49% rate. Pinellas County, City of Newport Richey, very different story. We took, I think, a very conservative approach. So, you know, we're all taxpayers, and you can see what this storm is going to cost the state of Florida and the federal government. And there's reasons why FEMA is putting these rules in place so that
every year, they're not paying out tens and tens of millions of dollars of your taxpayer money to repair a home that's going to get flooded again. So that is the decision of the federal government, and is to try and get people to not get damaged all the time, so they have to keep spending money over and over again. So that is why FEMA does what they do. That's not us.
What's the difference in the level? 5
There he is.
On that ICC, that is not a grant. There's $30,000 coverage for ICC up to the $250,000. So you have $100,000 or $220,000 worth of damage, and you have a flood policy for $250,000. You get $30,000. It's not an additional. It's $30,000 up to $250,000.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And it's no grant. And before you tear houses down, you have to have a substantial damage letter, or you're not getting any ICC.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that?
So who's doing the estimating on the value of the 49%? Because somewhere you have a value for sheetrock, you have a value for material, you have a value for electric, plumbing, everything else, flooring. What values are you using, and where can someone understand what they can expect?
So we're using the market value. The best place to look online, it's HomeWise, July. This way where homeowners can go to that website, put in the material, and give you the cost and labor. All right. So for you plug in the information on what they're doing when it comes to damage, that website will give you cost and labor for you to fill out the substantial package. So that's the best and easiest way to fill out the substantial package when it comes to damage that was caused by the storm.
Now, if you're not good on the internet, is there somebody to help guide you through this?
Yeah, we'd love for you to come down to one of our permitting locations. We'll sit you down with a flood person, and they can help you.
Do you have a list of that I can grab?
Yeah, there's one right out here at Gulf Harbor's tax collector's office.
Oh.
Yeah. Or if you want to make the ride in, you can go visit us at the West Pasco Government Center.
Okay. I have a question about taxes. I'm over here in the corner. If you're below for the 49%, I might. If you're below the 49% threshold, and let's say you spend $200,000 in repairs, is there any different assessment on your tax evaluation after that?
I am not the property appraiser. I won't speak for the property appraiser. I'll tell you what normally happens, right? You're going to get a permit for the value of your repairs. That value will be evaluated for the property appraiser. In most cases, for repairs, your appraised value does not go up. If you make additions or alterations, then they will take that during their annual appraisal.
I want to give you a heads up because JP talked about the 1-year cumulative rule, and I think we do have a resident, sadly, that got caught up in this. So, and we asked this question on our call yesterday. So what that 1-year accumulation means, and you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, you pull a permit, let's say you're getting a new roof. You pull a permit, you get a new roof, and on January 1st, and you spent, I have no idea how much the roof is, $30,000. And then the hurricane hits, and you get $200,000 worth of damage. Well, they're going to add, is this right? They're going to add that $30,000 that you did on your roof before the hurricane hit as part of your 1-year cumulative repairs or improvements to your home. So I would, if you have something coming in the next year, be careful. Put it off until you hit the 1-year date. It's 1 year cumulative. In Newport Richie, it's 5 years cumulative. So a lot of people got caught in that.
It's 2 now.
Do you want to address that? Anybody?
Is it January?
When the permit is
issue. So I don't want anyone to get caught in that.
Two quick things. One, you guys should really consider waiving those past things before the storm based on this incredible event that we're having. The other one, I want to go back to the gentleman's question here about the labor cost, because a contractor doesn't just have his labor, he has entrepreneurial profit as well. And so that 100,000 to the 75,000 is including his profit, not just his labor.
That's true. So if you're deploying as a homeowner, you don't have to tell us what your administrative overhead costs are, your profit. So it is strictly labor rate to do the work and the materials to do the work. So
Sir?
it needs to be a reasonable amount. So again, I use the drywall example over here. If a drywaller can make $15 an hour, and you want to do it at $15, you have to estimate 3 hours at $15 an hour, it's $45. That's how much the labor would have taken you to do it.
Sir, I'm following that question. Over here. I'm following that question. When you fill out that paperwork over there, they say you have to do your cost and your labor at market value. I don't know about you, but I've never paid market value for anything. So who decides what the market value is? Because I can tell you one thing, none of us are paying market value for anything.
So it's fair market value. So your point is, I always get a discount on the work that I do. That is what a reasonable person would pay to conduct that work, the labor rate for that work. Now, our team does have amounts you can use for your estimation. Again, Saban mentioned that HomeWise with a Y site that will help you get those estimated costs. But it has to be reasonable, and it has to kind of pass the smell test, right? A licensed electrician doesn't make $10 an hour. You can't put $10 an hour to do your own electrical work.
But there have been quotes here at every single electric plug, they're charging $35. No one here is going to pay $30 a month.
Getting back to what she was saying, with your HomeWise site, I use that to do my permit. I just had a new roof finished today. Cost of that roof was $29,500. On your HomeWise site, $49,800. So it's a substantial. They're charging $125 to install one outlet. So that HomeWise site is padding the bill. Is it pushing the number to the 49% for the people?
To be clear, he's not using the HomeWise site. He's saying you can use that as a guide.
But that's when we were told that that's what we needed to do my roof. You know,
so I'm going to use your.
Just saying that's what you guys are using as a reference. That's what I was told.
Just something, a gentleman handed me a phone and he said, on the FEMA website, there's a paragraph that says your property sustained repetitive damage, meaning that the flood damage has occurred twice in the past 10 years. The cost of repairing that flood damage on average equaled or exceeded 25% of the property market value at the time of each flood. Those two flood damage events must have resulted in flood insurance claim payments, and the community's floodplain management ordinance must have a repetitive loss provision.
We do not have a repetitive loss provision currently.
Okay.
FEMA requires it. It's a FEMA requirement. And the point he's making is that, say you have a 40% claim this year, and within, say, 9.5 years, you have another claim, and it's, say, just 20% of the value. You combine those two, divide it in half, you can come above 25%. So then the floodplain management thing, I guess it goes, you're forced to bill back at a lower rate if it exceeds 25% between those two. So people could be, below the 49%. Another flood comes along within 10 years, a minor one. You could be over the 25% rule. Is that correct?
We currently do not have a repetitive loss ordinance that has been approved.
FEMA says you have to have it. It's a requirement.
Don't tell them you don't
have
it.
You should
have We're going to enforce the local ordinances the way they are today.
This is a FEMA ordinance.
Everybody else.
Yep. Thank you.
My question is kind of off topic here, and I'm hoping Kathy can help me. My power line's been pulled down twice by these FEMA trucks. The first time there was no problem. The second time they stuck, cost $2,500 my meter. Trying to find anybody to help me pay for it is like talking to a brick wall. So I'm just wondering who I talk to and how I go about getting paid for it.
So, I'm gonna guess he can file a claim with the county?
Yeah, so you're gonna call 727-847-2411, and you're gonna ask for the County Risk Management Department. And you will file a claim and provide detailed information. They'll send somebody out to evaluate that.
On that same topic, and it's a lot too late for a lot of people, but a lot of people put their trash under the power line on their property, and it was a real problem for us. Also, some of the people put their debris too far in the yard, and so they couldn't get that either. Now, I have a washer and dryer that I still haven't had time to put out on the street. How long are we, do you guys know how long we're going to be coming through picking up debris?
Yeah, there's not a date. The whole county is going to probably have 3 to 4 passes. So we haven't even completed the first pass yet. So there'll be a reattack, but everybody in the county is going to get a first pass before we start the second pass.
I got a question here about the.
When that year accumulative started. When did it start? So what year did it start? So, when the permit's issued. Wherever permit you apply for, within a year. So once the permit's issued, that clock starts, and once a year passes, that permit's gone.
So if we had papers done.
No, that doesn't.
And that doesn't count.
Correct.
So which permit?
We can't do anything that
So I'm going to repeat this out loud for everybody. It's an important point. So this gentleman asked, when does the year start? It's a year from the when your repair or improvement permit is issued. Once you're done. His question was, we recently had pavers done. Pavers are not considered part of the structure. That does not count towards the 49% rule for substantial improvement or substantial damage.
Well, then can I ask you, why does demolition count?
Why does demolition?
Because it's inside the house, not
No,
out.
but that's not adding
Oh,
value.
the cost to remove,
Yes.
to do repairs, that is, it's just part of the, you couldn't do that work without paying for it.
I need a sock.
Because somebody has to do it, that's unfortunately the
That
floodplain
doesn't
rule.
add to the value of the property?
Correct. It's the cost the total cost to restore your home to pre-damage condition.
I have a question about electrical. So we've had like 5 different quotes for electrical. Some of them are telling us that we have to replace all the wire that went underwater that goes to the outlets. Can someone confirm that? Or is it just the outlets, not the wiring that went underwater?
So I'm going to let Anthony give you the very real reason you need to do this.
Okay, with the electrical, this is the main concern on this storm. If we have a storm event that's occurred by rainwater, a lot different scenario. Salt water is a conductor of electricity. And in the process, if the receptacles are submerged in the salt water, we want a licensed electrician to perform evaluation on the house, test all your receptacles in the wire. During this storm event, I'm sure you guys probably know, we turned power back onto some structures. I talked to one individual personally. He replaced every receptacle in his house, but one he forgot. And it ignited within a couple of minutes of turning on the power. So we really want a licensed professional to come out, perform testing on the wire, and they should change all the receptacles. Anything that was submerged in that water should be changed, but test the wire. Yeah. Yeah, not the box, it's a receptacle, it's the device itself. Any device submerged. Yeah, it depends. You'll see anything that is galvanized or the metal will start corroding pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so the issue with the wire is, the wires are exposed, right? You should always have the wire back. The reason you have the wire back too is because the wire is wick inside those cables is often a liner. That liner also whips out that material. We're talking about salt water. Remember, not only is it corrosive, it brings salt. Electricity loves to jump gaps wherever it can find it. And once it starts sparking in the wall, you won't see it or hear it until it's too late. And so that's why, big dose of caution. We absolutely think you need to get a licensed electrician.
Well, I gotta say something to that. My flood insurance guy walked in and he said, don't think that we're gonna do all your electricity in your home. So we're paying for flood insurance. We have had a flood, and this man walks in and says, I'm not gonna pay for it because we have exactly what you just said. Stop, stop, stop of the wires, and there's not gonna be a problem. What is it? There will be a problem, it'll spark and cause a fire, or there won't be a problem. And now it's up to us to pay for the electricity, but my flood insurance won't. What is it gonna be?
I can't tell you what your insurer will or will not cover. The ultimate in safety is for you to make sure you either replace that wire and replace all of the receptacles. But you need to have a licensed electrician to make that evaluation for you. I can't tell you that, none of the folks up here can tell you
Yeah. The receptacles that were submerged must be replaced. Now the wire itself, you hire a licensed electrician, he will test it. There's a test you can do, some people, a Megger test, but some people say yes or no. There's also a standard that's put out by the National Electrical Society of, I think, contractors, I'm not sure. But our chief electrical inspector was unable to come. But they have a standard and they have printed out recommendations. So your electrical contractor should have those recommendations and anything that was introduced with salt water.
On the permitting piece, they're all free for everybody, correct? Well, I've applied for a lot of permits. I'm a GC. I've been applying for them. I got hit the other day with a $29 processing fee. That's just an error then. Please don't figure it out. If your home or the permit was due to storm damage, and there's a checkbox, that's just a damage, it's an error over here. I got about $29 permits I'm going to be applying for, and I don't want to start getting processed. And it wouldn't let me know before I had to pay it, and then it said, I printed it out and it said a processing fee. So Mike's going to come talk to you about it, but that's just an error, we'll take care of that.
Another question right here.
We'll get you ready, Ron.
Hey there.
Hello.
I just want to re-clarify about the demolishing. You said that Pasco County would pay for the demolishing of our home. Does it have to be substantially damaged, more than 49%, or does not have to? Wow. As far as I just repeat, the FEMA money or any Pasco County money that would be granted to help us with elevation would not be considered if we didn't have substantial damage? If we elected to do it on our own voluntarily?
You know, I don't want to give you an answer on that because I'm not 100% on that, unfortunately. I'd love to sit here and say it won't, but I don't.
All right, thank you.
So
I'll check it out.
I'll give you a card.
I just have a quick salad.
Oh, the question was if somebody took advantage of the free fast track demo, if they would still be eligible for grants or additional funding for elevation. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer.
But it was the 49%. If it was less than 49%, Pasco still will pay for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Guys, that's what I wanted to know.
So the follow-up question here, hold on. The follow-up question here was if it was still less than 49%, but you wanted to demo it, would you still demo it on a fast track program? And the answer is yes. If it's in the flood zone and below base flood elevation, we want to help you get that product out of the risk zone.
Sam, I just have a quick question. You said it was when the permit was issued, that's your 1 year cumulative. I thought it was when it was closed. So it was when it's issued or when it's closed?
Issued for 1 year, but... Sorry. So it's from the date it's issued. So now it's 1 year cumulative. If you never close the permit, it continues on until you close the permit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we often have...
You said two things there. I'm sorry. I'm tired. You said. I'm pretty sure you said two things.
I will give you a perfect example. Say you have an AC company that came to replace the AC earlier in the year. They got a permit like they're supposed to, but they didn't bother to file out the inspection and left it open. They didn't close it. It's a year from when you finally get that product, that permit closed.
But you said it's when it's issued, so how can you, it's either one or the other, I don't understand.
So,
That's a non-answer.
So it's 1 year, from the permit's issued, but like JP said, if they never close the permit, it stays on there until they close the permit. Once the permit's closed, and it's already been a year, it's dropped. It no longer applies.
If they close it within a year, you get to use the issuing date?
It's still, yes, correct. And if it's after a year, you just have to close the permit, and then drop.
Yeah, the intent here is you have to close it.
So this-
Close it for a year.
This question actually goes back to somebody's question. Pasco County, I believe, is getting money for hazard mitigation grants. I'd like to know what the percentage is for homeowners who might be in that 49% one.
So that is not something that our department handles, and the state may be changing the HMGP grant program to where the state manages it. Normally the counties do that, but because of the need is so large, the state may be changing that program so they can directly do it and eliminate the time frame it takes to do the HMGP. But
I can tell you what it used to be, what it has been until today, because I have people in Elfers Parkway that have repetitive floods in Thousand Oaks. So currently it's 75%. If you've got repetitive flooding and you want to sell your house, 75% of your value, the state's keeping 25%. There are some special programs we're going to look into. It's called CDBG-DR. We use those in Elfers to buy 5 of the homes out that kept flooding every year. In that program, you get 100% plus moving costs plus down payment money. I don't think we don't have anyone in here that's going to qualify for that, but there may be some people that you know in the county that have had repetitive flooding. So that's a repetitive flooding. Yeah, it has to be more than once. I've been through this with quite a few people. So.
The hazard mitigation grant is only available if you've done twice.
You can call my office and stay with me, and we'll try and work with you if you want to go that route. We'll try to get more information, but there are those options for those who have had repetitive flooding. If you're from another neighborhood, not Gulf Harbor, that may apply to you, but we haven't had it since the no-name storm, I think.
So it
Most
doesn't
people,
apply
right?
for substantially damaged homes. Over the 49%, a hazard mitigation grant does not apply for you.
That I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not a program that our department manages. It actually would be it's managed by the Department of Emergency Management, 847-2411.
We have a young lady that works for us in our emergency management department. Her name is Laura Wilcoxon. She knows a lot about those grants, so you can try calling her. I don't know their phone number, but you can get it through 847-2411. But Laura's kind of our expert on those grants.
Ma'am, so if you would get with Mr. Marcus back there, Marcus, raise your hand. Marcus is going to give you the email address for Nolan Ristow out of our emergency management department.
When applying for a permit, they're asking for. Applying for a permit, they're asking for a sketch of the home. Hand sketch is good, or do you have to hire an architect?
No. Here's the question. The question was when applying for a permit, and you're providing a floor plan, does it have to be hand sketched or does it need to be drafted by a professional? In this case, it can definitely be hand sketched. You could also go onto the property appraiser's website and you can use the sketch from there. A clear handwritten scope of work is sufficient. If you go to our mobile sites or you come into our office and we hand you a package, there's actually a template for a scope of work that you can fill out, along with, of course, the blank copy of the substantial improvement package. Does that answer your question, sir? Yeah. Okay.
I have a question, not sure if you can hear me. Do permits have to be posted on the house? Like years ago, if somebody came around and they didn't see the permit, you got in trouble. Do you need to have them posted?
Yes, please post them.
Do you get a physical copy then, when everything is?
Oh my God! Wait, she said she's heard of people stealing them.
When you post them, I've heard.
Oh my God! Put it on the inside of the window.
In the past.
Put it on the inside of the window.
The good news is we don't print a placard for you anymore. You're just going to go on stuff online and print it out. You can print it on 8.5 by 11. If it gets rained on, if the dog eats it, if somebody steals it, just repost it. Miss Barrett.
Yes, somebody has.
I can't hear you.
The mic is dead, you get so many good
Dead?
questions.
All right, I'll put you on.
Someone had to rebuild. Okay, you have to rebuild. What is the process?
Somebody had to rebuild. Well, fantastic. If you want to elevate, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to apply for a permit. You know, it's pretty simple. Realistically, it is. If you're going to elevate, you're likely going to have a contractor do that for you. They're going to apply for a permit. And the great news about elevation is once your home's elevated, we don't ever want to see a substantial change. That's up to whatever your engineer is going to call for. You can do pilings, you can do any number of accepted construction methodologies. We don't have a restriction on that. Correct? Yeah.
Tom, are you gonna do anything for your taxes? Obviously, that's gonna.
We're going to reassess it.
Yeah, I know.
So, you need to have a conversation with the property appraiser. If you're going to demo your home and you lose, essentially you lose your value for a portion of the year, there is a process by which the property appraiser will reassess your taxes while you do not have the enjoyment of your home.
Oh, no, I understand that. I'm talking about once you build a new home, and let's say it's 1,300 square foot, you keep the same footprint. Now I built a new home, you're gonna tell me my tax is now 10,000.
Well, you have portability.
What's that?
There is something called portability. So you'll be able to transfer, and I am not the property officer, but you'll be able to transfer a lot of that delta that you've had over the years to your new home.
And when we do it, would I go to the tax office for that?
Yeah, it's under a save our home cap, and it's called portability. So make sure I missed it by
While
1 day.
you're over getting your permit, at the Gulf Harbor Tax Collector's Office, go talk to the tax
That's the
collector.
dilemma. I go for it, if I don't raise it and I fix it, because I don't think I'm gonna reach that 49%. If I wanna raise it now, I'm gonna get hit with tax liability as a new house. So I know everything you're saying here, you're trying to make it so that people do the right thing, get the house up if you can, it's better for down the road, and I get all of that. But when you gotta pay the bills every month, it gets, you gotta sit here and say, wait a minute, I'm at, say, $2,000 now, and you're gonna raise me to 10 now to go to elevate. What is the county doing to that? And you're saying portability is something that works for that?
Yeah, so what the commissioner is talking about is something called Save Our Homes. And so instead of Florida, you have Save Our Homes portability. So if you don't move,
I think, obviously realize I'm not a Florida. I'm relocated.
so you have you're going to go talk to the tax collector and the property appraiser about that. I don't want to get out of
I should answer
it. Your specifics.
Yeah, no, because I'm going to make an informed decision. I want to know what my.
I appreciate that you're doing that. We're talking about that. Oh. We got the two folks in the back real quick.
So, we own 2 houses in Gulf Harbor, right? House number 1, got flooded, it's on Seaway, we applied for a building permit, got approved fast, Justin was awesome, right? It was done yesterday. House number 2 is for our daughter, it also got flooded, only about 4 to 6 inches, never hit the electrical outlet. We own the house, it's not homesteaded, but it's our second home, right? Do we have to get, we have to go through a permit process, but can we do the work ourselves?
All right, so that's what he's indicated is he owns 2 homes in the area. One, pulled a permit, he resides in that home, pulled a permit, whatever damage it was, it's being taken care of. Secondary home is owned by yourself, still owns it, but a family member resides in the home. The Florida statute that oversees this indicates that you cannot sell that home, rent it out for 1 year after the completion of the construction or the work. If it is strictly for your daughter, your son, family member, whoever it is, and it's not rented, it's not used for income, in my eyes, it complies with the statute. You are not financially gaining from that property. I have children too, so it costs you, but irregardless,
He didn't fully address this question. So he's the homeowner, but that house is not homesteaded in his name. Are you going to issue him a permit?
he would still be able to get it signing that document. Even though it's not homesteaded, he doesn't violate the statute in selling it for 1 year, or he doesn't receive any profits from that. It still applies. So it still applies, he has to maintain it for the year.
So as a landlord, my house got trashed. I'm gonna fix it. I can't rent it for a year. Why? So I can't sell it?
Do you reside in one side of the house? Is it a single family home or a duplex?
Single family home.
Yes, if you don't own it, if you rent it,
I own it.
yes, well, you don't reside there. The Florida statute indicates that you have to have a licensed contractor pull the permit.
Okay. Did you say I can't sell the home for 1 year?
Oh, only if it's, yeah, once you have a licensed contractor pull the permits, you could sell it next day. Yeah, it takes all liability off. And I just, as we talk about owner as contractor, please be aware, I've been doing it since 1996. You sign that form, owner as contractor, you are a contractor, just like this gentleman. If I'm the plumber and I get hurt on your site, you better have insurance. They are going to come looking for you. If something happens on site, they're going to come looking for that homeowner because in the eyes of the legal system, you are a licensed contractor as of that point. That's Florida statute.
Took the liability of that.
It's been in since 96.
All right, I have a food permit to replace an existing concrete porch slab, and then just to put the aluminum, roof. For shade in the backyard. Replace an existing concrete slab, patio slab, and put a patio roof on the back with for shade. Does that count? We haven't done the work yet, but it's approved. It's approved. Does that count towards the 49%?
Is it attached to the house?
The roof will be attached to the house.
Outside, when they cover that?
If it's structurally attached to the house, then it'll be a part of the 49%. So if it's not structurally attached, then it's not part of the 49%.
Kathy, go ahead.
Okay. Now, we know building codes change often. So now, tell me, when do we have to comply with the newest building code? In my case, I'm asking about electric.
When you're 50% or more.
Okay. Other than that, we can stay with the...
When you're greater than 49%, I don't want to use it.
So we can stay with the current, the home, how the home was built. We can stay with that building code unless we have to rebuild. Thank you.
Yes, the question was, the existing home took flood damage, whatever type of damage, you're rebuilding the existing home. That again falls under the existing building code. It takes you out of the Florida building code. It's still a Florida building code, but it puts you in a different book that's existing building. So you can make those repairs as the building was constructed. So if you do more than 50% of renovations on the home, then it has to meet the Florida building code. So a little different manner.
Thank you. Hold on, we have another question here. Okay, to follow up to that question, I was told by an electrician that they got a new building code that if they go into a home and do the electrical work and the panel box does not have those push-in circuit breakers, you know that. Yeah. Then they have to put them in. Does that not apply to us, being we're under this other code? We're not doing more than 50%.
Yeah, your electrician, whatever he touches has to be up to code. If he's going to replace out the panels, then the panel must meet current code.
That's
They are the homeowners. They're the ones doing the repair.
Yes, even on a regular house. So if you, what it does is, if you have your existing electrical panel and you're in the existing building code, and your electrician says, hey, you know what? Some of these breakers in this box and your neutral bar is bad. I want to change out the panel. It has to meet the National Electric Code because the Florida Building Code does not have a section that refers you back to that. So it refers you back to the NEC. But still, you're only meeting the minimums of the NEC, National Electric Code.
Okay, so let me just, there is a neighbor that approached me and said that she was told by her electrician, not me, I'm asking for her, she can't be here, she has aluminum wiring, and she has to be upgraded to copper, is that true?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's where we rely on that electrician. I'm not a licensed electrician, so we rely on the electrician to tell us that that wire is viable. But if it is not aluminum and the salt is intruded with it, there's a good chance it has to be repaired and replaced.
What you're telling her, she's an owner contractor, she can do the existing building what it was. If she's hiring a contractor's got to stay with the 2023 code.
It'll still be under existing building code.
That's the 2023.
Until you
That's
go
what
over
you're
50%,
saying.
yes.
Make it simple.
Yep.
You understand that?
Existing building code unless you go over.
If you hire a contractor, he's got to stay under the existing 2023 codes.
Okay.
If you do it yourself, you can bring the building back to what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, but even electrical?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, whether a contractor works on your home or she does it, it still has to comply with the existing building code. Once you trip that 50%, whether it's a contractor or not, then it goes into the new current Florida building code.
I have a question. What does minimum Florida living or whatever statute mean?
Florida base elevation? Base
No.
elevation?
In other words, you have to have a kitchen, you have to have a bathroom, right? What's the minimum standard, whatever it's called?
Yes, hang on.
Chris May, everybody.
That's why I'm out here in our parking lot.
Okay, so what is the minimum standards for living conditions? Pasco County has a code of ordinance, chapter 18, 103, and it tells you all of the basic amenities that you need for what's, habitable, the minimum standard for habitation. Yeah. And so it is basic things like your kitchen, your countertops have to be impervious, air conditioning. It's all in there. It's a
What I'm trying to say is you don't need to put down a ceramic floor. You could have concrete floors.
Sure, that's accurate.
You don't have to have a $30,000 kitchen. You could have a 48-inch base, a stove, and a refrigerator with a countertop.
I think I know where you're getting with this.
I'm going to jump in here before you take these folks down a road that they can't go down. Remember, the SDSI is all of the costs to restore your home to its pre-damage condition. If you can stay under the 49% threshold of that, the work you do below that threshold is up to you so long as it's 100%. But the substantial damage determination is going to be back to what it was, not to what it will be. Okay? So you're going to pull a permit.
No, I know what you're saying, but what it will be, maybe now like a $4,000 kitchen, I want to put it in $60,000.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, right? My husband is.
Remember, in all situations, substantial damage is repair, substantial improvement is improvements, additions, whatnot. Both of those numbers still all have to stay under 49%.
So you're saying that if to return it to where it was, if you want to upgrade something, does that count?
If you want to upgrade, you can do whatever you want, so long as you stay under cumulatively your 49%. Great opportunity to do it while it's open.
Times 1.25 divided by 49.
Yeah, so you're going to go on the property appraiser's site. I've done this numerous times for people. You look at the value of your building. You're gonna times that times 1.15. He said 115, but he meant 1.15, and then you're gonna divide that by 2, and that's your number. If you don't like your number, get a property appraisal.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Well, 49%.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, 49%.
PCPAO.org. Right? Oh, that's the wrong one. I worked in another municipality for a long time. PascoPA.org. You're going to go on there, look up your home. As long as you don't have a protected address, I see some public safety folks in here, you should be able to find it. It's going to be the building value number. You're going to take that number, multiply at 15%. The easiest way to do that is multiply by 1.15. Did I get it right this time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're going to take that number and multiply it by 0.49. That is your not to exceed threshold. Unless you go get a private appraisal, and that private appraisal number is whatever that appraiser comes up with. What's that?
I'm going to tell you, our property appraiser does not revalue every year. He does it in batches. It's a discussion we're going to be having with him, unlike a lot of other counties. So it is very possible your house is worth much more than what he has on his site. So if you're anywhere near, when you do your paper and you're getting close, go get a private appraiser. You'll be better off.
Yes, sir. Over here, boss.
Yeah, just a question. I was hearing that we can't get a permit issued until we have the determination of substantial loss. But some permits have been issued. I have one in the queue somewhere. Are those being delayed then now? Is that a new approach since other permits were issued, or are they still being issued in some cases?
Yeah, the permits that have been issued have already had some sort of determination made. A letter hasn't gone out because of the time frame of the changing process, but the flood team had already made a determination based on either the damage assessment evidence that we had, evidence that the homeowner provided. I mean, truly, folks, anything you can give us to help us make the determination that you're under 49%, it didn't have that much damage, give it to us. Pictures, appraisals, if you had a private inspection, you had an engineer, architect, somebody else come out and put something on paper, particularly if it's professional, give that to us. Please allow us to utilize that, because that makes the team's job so much easier and quicker.
So if I have a general contractor, they put me below the 49%, but then next week I get a letter that says I'm substantially damaged, I'm still, you're still gonna work with me, I'm still gonna be okay?
Yeah, so you're gonna get a letter. Again, remember that's the start. That we have to do that. But if you have more exact information, new appraisal, or the exact cost to restore, provide that. Okay. And that's how we will, correct? Yeah.
I have two questions. I filed for a permit at the pop-up last Thursday. I took the notice of commencement into the county on Friday on Little Road. And I haven't gotten anything, so it's in the queue. Let's assume I filled everything out, and I think I did it very correctly. I also have my insurance company's settlement offer in writing. So that would back up the number that I put on the form. They're both very close. I didn't have that. I just got that yesterday, earlier this week. So if everything's in order, how long can I expect that permit to take? Not in a pile, not waiting on this, waiting on that. I mean, I think everything's in order. How long should that permit take?
Jeff, you have an answer to this. Where are we at?
So, I was just looking at some numbers today. Right now, we are averaging around 8 to 10 business days. Right now, today. That's today's number. That's not from 2 weeks ago. Okay, obviously we've gotten inundated with a lot. We had, because of this, the damage assessment, some things got put on hold, but the team has done a spectacular job of chewing through the backlog, so to speak. So I was looking at my team's workload for tomorrow, and the very, in one of them, the very next project that she has to do, it's I think actually the 7th business day from submittal. So we are getting caught up on the backlog.
Business days or?
Business days. But just to backtrack a little bit on what he said earlier, if you have a permit that's in the system and you think it's stuck and it's not getting, please check your emails
because you do get email notifications if the team has to reject it. If Flood is looking at the substantial improvement package and they have questions regarding that, my team is reviewing the scopes of work. Those two documents have to align. If the scope of work doesn't really match what's was submitted on that substantial improvement document, it's going to be rejected and sent back to you. This document's have to be updated and resubmitted, for that clarification.
But I could provide the multiple page insurance settlement.
We'd love you to.
I did, but
We're not allowed, believe it or not, FEMA does not allow us to use that as a sole document.
Understood.
That's why you still have to take those numbers and put them on that form, but yes, you can.
Okay. So
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
10 days expectation.
What? Yeah, well, we're trying, and listen, before the storm, we were averaging 6 business days in residential. New house, 6 business days. So our team is very dedicated. One thing I do want to suggest, thank you, Senator. If you're replacing any exterior manufactured components, that means exterior doors, exterior windows, for example. Every single one of garage doors, every single one of those products has to be tested by the state at the state requirements, and they all have a product approval number, a Florida product approval number. We need those numbers provided with your submittal. So because we check it for design pressures, wind loads, etc. So from wherever you're buying those products, they'll be able to provide you with that number, and you can put that on your scope of work.
Is that the number I was told always has a decimal?
Yes, that is the one. Thank you for making that clarification, because it'll always be it'll always have an FL in front of it, FL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say. However, there's always subcategories of a particular product. So it's going to be FL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.1, 0.2, 0.3. They all have different factors and different pressures. You need to provide us that specific one.
If I get a property appraised, a private property appraiser, and he says my house is worth more than the county, will that increase my taxes?
No.
Oh.
I specifically asked Mr. Wells this question the other day, and I said, do you want these appraisals? And he's like, no, we won't look at them. So they're going to stick with their appraisal methodology.
If we don't have substantial whatever, we're not going to meet the 49%. If we so choose to build up through what we discussed before, do I have to demolish my existing house, or can we build on top of that?
So the question here is if we are not substantially damaged, but we want to elevate anyway, we're tiredness of this flood business, can we build on top of the current structure? And the answer to that question is if you have an engineer, architect, or licensed professional that can build that structure and you can get it permitted, absolutely. There's no reason you can't do that.
Okay.
Let me add to that, and that is really important.
It doesn't matter. Once she elevates out of the floodplain, we don't worry about substantial improvement anymore.
Please be extremely aware that if you have a single block home, it does matter what year it was built, and it's extremely important that you have somebody, an engineer, not an architect, an engineer decide for you in the county that it has the pressure to hold the current weight of the new home.
Exactly.
It is extremely important. It happened down in St. Pete. They demolished 8 houses in one neighborhood. Please, please, please do not let your boyfriend's cousins tell you you can. It is a damn engineer, not an architect.
Okay.
My wife's an architect.
You better
All your
run,
neighbors
baby.
just heard you say that.
Yeah. She's the one that told me that, so I want to pass it on.
At the end of the day, it's whatever professional
It's an engineer that has to approve that you can build on the current structure of your home.
But the important point that I think maybe some other folks
Your lower
miss,
level will be
once
uninsurable,
you
baby.
elevate, you never have to worry about substantial damage to potential improvement again.
Can't build
So, but if a portion of your home is in the flood zone, then you still do. So there's a lot of value in elevating each ground floor. Correct. You can't have any living space. You don't have any.
You have to stay with, you still have to stay within the 2% rule.
Can't do that.
Yes, you do. If you're going to keep your downstairs level.
What's that?
Can't
you have to block them? Yeah, it's
Like
supposed
the
to.
downstairs, like a garage. Oh.
Yes, sir, in the back.
No. Walk up to the front.
I'd just like to share something that really helped me as far as getting my permit approved right away. One thing I did notice when I talked to the county down at the tax office, they said just go to this one building and then just file it, which that was not correct. Because my wife, I couldn't do it. I got there too late. I was told as far as they open until 5, which they closed at 4. So anyway, my wife had to do it. And she talked to some people, and she actually had to go to the recorder's office, I believe. After recording it, then she has to bring it back to the building department, so that way they can upload it to their system. So you want to make sure that that's done, that commencement letter, that they can see that. The other step too is like exterior doors and windows. I went to the Lowe's as far as Ridge Road, and also Ridge Road and Little Road, and I talked to Mark. He actually knows what the county needs as far as to, like, I was looking to replace some doors. He printed off like different things as far as like the FL number and all kinds of things, the building plans and whatever else. And he just gave me like a stack of papers, and I just went down to the tax office and I had them upload the documents, so that way they already have them. So that way my permit was not holding off on anything. They could just see it and get it approved. So hopefully it helps anyone.
Yeah, so just real quick on that. So this gentleman is talking about the NOC process. We require an NOC, but we will still issue the permit without the NOC. It just has to be recorded with our office before your first inspection. Notice of commencement, sorry.
I understand that the county's giving credits back for unhabitable occupancy of your house. The tax office is giving. So to determine I guess the CO, the final CO, will determine that you can occupy your house, and then you need that from the date of the incident.
Does anybody know what the property appraiser's process is for loss of use of your property due to the destruction? Unfortunately, we're not the property appraiser. You know, yeah. So actually, for in what I'll call blue sky day, right? For building a new house, the property appraiser counts your 140 final as you are able to occupy that structure. So they'll probably correct. So, for more information, please contact the property appraiser's office.
JP, I'm not sure this is what you're talking about. There is a link right on the first page of the property appraiser site. And there's an application you can fill out to request a discount in your taxes because your home's not inhabitable.
So to reiterate,
it's right there.
Right on the front page of the property appraiser's website is the information for the
an application. Well, it's an application. You have to read it. I mean, see.
My home is in a trust, and the trust is in my name. Is that going to hold up the permit? I've already applied.
With the problem, and you did it as owner as contractor. Here's the exemption. I'll try to clarify. That exemption is found in Florida Statute 489, by the way, which regulates contractor licensing. And there is an exemption for owners. Owners have to be able to appear in person and apply for the permit for your own use, and blah blah blah, right, etc. When it comes to legal entities that own properties, there's real. If it's an LLC, for example, an LLC can't pull its own permit. Now, if it's in your name, this is one. We talked about this with the building official to make this one clarification. If you have your trust in your name, yes, you can still pull it as an owner contractor. However, if it was in a family trust, then you could not. Does that make sense? Does that clarify?
All right, so we've got time for about 3 or 4 more questions. Otherwise, I gotta let these folks get home to their families. So we're gonna do back there first, and we'll work our way up here. Oh, great question. So how do you know how high is high enough? I'm gonna let Salvin answer this question.
You can go to our county website and go into flood program. When you go into flood program, we have online flood zone. And when you click on the link, it'll take you to Forerunner. In there, you put in your address, it'll give you all the information you need of how high you need to be from base flood elevation and your +1, which will be your design elevation.
Okay, so I'm gonna make that a little simpler for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're gonna call Salvin. Honestly, honestly though, you can go on the website, you can look at, look your property up, but it's easiest if you just call us, you give us your address, one of our flood team members will help you look it up. What Savin's talking about is base flood elevation. FEMA publishes these firm maps, and that's the base flood elevation. In Pasco County, and according to the new Florida Building Code, you have to build 1 foot above that. That's called freeboard. So let's say base flood elevation on your street and for your parcel is 4 foot, you would have to go 5 feet up.
What's that phone number?
The phone number again is
What's your phone number?
847-8126. It's the same. It's all the same. We're all the same group. Yeah. Yeah. So permitting is just one function under DCS.
All right. Simple. There's a couple houses here for sale, which already got down. And then what happened with the new buyer coming in? It will be they gonna buy as is, gonna be the new rule, the new owner is gonna get, or what will be the happen?
Really good question.
Yeah. So if I understand the question, we have a couple of properties in here that were for sale. I'm not your real estate, and I'm not your attorney.
Well,
So
I don't know this clear question either. They don't have.
I believe there's a new Florida statute that was approved last legislative session that says the buyer is required to disclose that the home was subject to peril of flood.
Yes.
Oh, it is by law.
Buyer?
It's not a
Yeah.
jury.
So,
The seller.
Seller must.
The
The
seller.
seller must
oh yeah,
disclose.
excuse me, sorry.
But Judi, the remodeling, let's say if you buy a new home and they want to remodel it, but it's already had some repair work done in that year, that repair number stays with the house, right? So they would have to wait a year or stay under that 49.
I'm gonna make this even simpler. They're gonna have to contact the flood department and see, has there been any permits pulled? Has there been substantial damage determination yet? Because there's a whole lot of risk that's involved, because you may have folks that are selling structures that are substantially damaged, that you will not be, that they may not be able to be elevated, or excuse me, may not be able to repair, and it will require elevation or demolition.
So it's gonna be the buyers.
Yeah, so you're also going to call Savin, 847-8127. No, don't ask for Savin, please. He's got a fantastic team. You're going to ask for a member of the flood team, and they'll be able to help you. Yeah. Savin is a very busy man. I keep him on the phone all day long. So. We have one more question. Back there.
Question in regards to appraisal. I had an appraisal done previously. Flood team has told me that it's okay to use the value based on that appraisal. It was a FEMA building appraisal. I just want to make sure that that is accurate. It doesn't matter when it took place. You guys are indicating the okay, and I'm good to go.
So the question was, you had another appraisal done.
I had an appraisal done, a FEMA building appraisal done before the storm, and I never, because I was going to do
Yes.
an addition.
Yeah, you said the key words, before the storm. Okay. I don't, one last bonus question, and then we'll all say goodnight.
When we are doing work, whether it's contractor or landlord,
I'm sorry, I just can't hear you.
if we're doing work, either by owner or with a contractor.
Is it working? Okay. If we're doing, got the permit and we're doing the work and we stay under the 49%, if FEMA adjuster, FEMA insurance gives us more than what we're spending, do we keep it? Do we have to give it
Yes.
back?
Hell yeah.
But the answer is that you can't cover what you spend your money on. I will tell you, I'll repeat an answer that was given at the Dade City Town Hall. Dade City Town Hall said, we gave you, the FEMA representative said, we gave you $750 for personal needs. If you spent that on video games, or not your personal needs? Yeah.
So we're under the 49% rule, and my adjusters, it's twice that amount to FEMA, and it's under the 49%. And they send me a check. Is that fraud? Because you said you could like improve and make upgrades as long as you stay under the 49%.
You don't get that information, so we don't know what was paid out.
Yeah, so we don't get the information on what you get from FEMA.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
You're going to jail.
You gotta give it
to me. We'll take it. Got some extra money? I'll take it.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. I hope you got all your questions answered. Yes? No? All right.
Yes, thank you. Great evening.